Let's start with the pretty movie.
Oh,
Which one is that?
I
The
know.
only redeeming quality of it,
It may be the most beautiful movie I've ever seen.
that would be the fall.
and the most ridiculous movie I've ever seen.
it's
The story is atrocious in this movie.
It's
The story's
but
and boy, do every time that girl is on screen, do I want her to shut the fuck up. Like
I thought she was kind of good.
Oh God, she annoys the ever-loving shit out of me.
It is the cutest thing I've ever seen in a movie.
Every time she breaks into the movie, every time she breaks into what they're talking about, it's just like, please shut the hell up. And then they put her in the actual story, and I'm just like, oh, I can't fucking do this.
well, that is sneakily.
Jared is here and Tad is wrong.
Yeah, no,
Dad hates kids.
I did like the fact that
that's it. He hates children.
That one bandit was played by a different actor, and then they brought Lee Pace in when I thought this was you. They cast him as him. Then she cast herself in there. Yeah, it was a little annoying. I'll give you that, but I thought she did a pretty good performance for how old she is.
He was 6.
Yeah,
and they convinced her that he actually was a paraplegic.
Wow.
They convinced the entire cast and crew that he was actually a paraplegic.
Dang.
One of the makeup people, almost had a fucking heart attack because she walked in and saw him standing up.
Wow.
That's
impressive. Or method. I'm not sure exactly which.
Really method.
Yeah, okay.
But I have questions about the what's the word?
The oranges.
No.
Also, John, this is not the prettiest film you ever seen.
That's not ethical.
This is the
ethics of that.
This is the second prettiest film.
Oh, come on.
The prettiest film you ever saw was Baraka, which this swiped a number of locations.
Oh boy, did they!
I don't know that you can swipe locations. Locations are locations; they exist. You can go and film there.
Yeah, but this isn't like
his own money.
But this isn't like the Eiffel
Some
Tower.
Of the locations I've actually.
Yeah, he blew all his cell money on this.
But this was
never heard from again.
Yeah, but this was such an obvious. Like,
he's got 2 other movies.
Good. I want to go over there and they hire the same guys that are in this and do that, and the dervishes and like that. It was all.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
yeah, the whirling dervishes were good.
I do have to give credit to one thing. These are some of the coolest fucking henchman armors I've ever seen in my life.
Right?
These henchman armors rule, and they belong in a better movie.
Oh,
I love the way that they worked all the things that the girl saw in the hospital, including the X-ray technician.
That was kind of cool.
Right.
That became the armor for the henchman. Yeah, that was a nice touch.
That costume looks a lot like the ones from Barbarella. I don't remember that film. Of course, you said better film.
I like Darwin's
better film.
So you already had.
I loved Darwin's coat. It was very fabulous.
Very nice.
I wouldn't mind having one of those to go to parties in. And a monkey.
His monkey was awfully cool. You just sit there and whisper things.
The monkey acted well.
He did. Yeah. He did a good job.
That was the most emotional I got. It was when the monkey, spoiler alert, dies.
There's the
is shot dead.
With monkeys.
With his little
also, this is a weirdly violent movie for what is very obviously supposed to be like a kids movie.
It gets very dark at the end.
It's very dark in the middle.
Yeah, but no, even this scene, like these guys bleed a fair amount when they get fucking shot. Like,
yeah, wow.
Like I was surprised because it really I felt to me like he was going for more of like a PG at most with this, and like it was not PG violence.
And the little girl did not want that anyone to die at the end. It was kind of heartbreaking.
That's why it went on, I thought, too long. This movie has problems, but one of the things was that last scene where he's sitting there by her bedside after she takes the fall and her heads are in bandages, and he's like, I just told you the story so you'd get me pills. And then he finishes the story, but he makes it so awful that she starts crying, and that goes on a long time.
Sure does.
Yeah, although I did like the turnaround that he was doing it all just so he can get morphine, which is kind of interesting because it kind of
dark.
I like the way it went back
to kill himself.
To kill himself.
Yeah,
it's rewarding in this film to watch it to the end, then go back and watch the opening black and white part again, because every element that's all just one big mystery. And every element in there shows up in some form in the film, and it's kind of neat.
It's very Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, very Wizard of Oz. In the beginning of that film makes no sense. It's a train on a thing, and there's a dead horse in the water, and
no, but it looks amazing.
Well, that part looked incredible. It just was so well photographed. Yeah, and so apparently, like the parts in L.A. were South Africa, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the architecture.
The guy directed a lot of TV commercials, right?
Yes.
Music videos.
Music videos. It's pretty apparent.
He did REM's "Losing My Religion."
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
He's
that's
still-
good. That's a good video.
He's still doing TV commercials.
That
He did some
one,
stuff
that
for
one video
Microsoft
of the
recently.
year.
So wait,
Yeah.
that is why he calls himself Tarsem, because he's like a video director? Because that's definitely what
I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
that's how
He
that
directed.
works.
He directed like
Because
some of the
his-
most famous. He's like the Michel Gondry. You know, he's like one of the like he's directed some of the
One of the
biggest music
go-to
videos.
guys.
Was one
Yeah.
of them.
You know,
Was.
Scott,
Pictures
the
small.
reason he goes by the mononym is because his last name is Singh, which is every Sikh in fucking India's name.
Right.
It's like
So
Smith,
might as well
right?
just go by Tarsem.
Yeah.
It's memorable.
Yeah, but his name isn't John Smith, but Tarsem is not an unknown name either. Like,
Sure,
like
I know
this,
lots of Tarsems.
like this is like Fred Smith. Like it's
Uh,
that close. Like it's
Not in America.
Yeah.
no, not in America, but still, this is a direct response to Chris saying
Are
if
we
your
back in
name's
America?
I don't-
unique
I-
enough.
I've never
If your
heard of
name's-
Tarsem.
If your name's Petoff, then you're allowed to do it. But
Okay.
the
Or
fucking-
McHugh.
or McHugh. Yes.
McHugh. Yeah.
Or
But,
speaking of-
unpronounceable, late unpronounceable
Mhm.
symbol.
Speaking of the TV commercials that he did, one of them I found out when we were shooting in New in San Anselmo at that weird futuristic the bridge house
Yeah.
where he wakes up in. That was used as a location in a few commercials, and one of them was directed by Tarsem, the owner of the
wow,
house.
there's a bit of
It's
overlap.
like, did you ever see The Fall? I'm like, yeah. It's like he was here a couple of years ago shooting a commercial.
That's kind of neat.
Cool.
It's also weird that The Fall is your go-to on that when The Cell was a much more popular and successful in terms of creation.
I find that movie borderline unwatchable. It's
Well,
so
This movie is borderline unwatchable.
But you know what the thing
The
is-
Cell is carried through by one really, really good performance.
Yeah.
Like D'Onofrio's fantastic.
This film
usually is.
If you
Yes,
look
he
at this
is.
as a music video director's film, it kind of informs what it is. It is a very glossy. It's very surface. It's very
Absolutely.
like look. I kept going. Look at that. Look at this. The town with all the little blue highlights in it. Wow. But that's like a lot of directors who like. This is like Absolute Beginners. You know, the Julian Temple. He's a music video guy.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people like that. Spike Jonze is another one. He started.
Everything in this would be better if it had like some sort of driving heavy metal or hard rock music over top of it. Like
Weirdly enough, he didn't want to spend too much money on the music. You know.
no,
Yeah,
probably because he didn't have any
public
money
domain-
left when he got to
Public
that
domain
point.
Beethoven. That kind of.
Right.
Well, he put up all the money, right?
Yeah,
much.
Yeah.
yeah.
See,
it's
I
self-financed.
suspected that. This is some rich
Millions.
kid running around the world getting picking up cool shots.
Took him 4 years to make it.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
most of his money.
28 locations.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
But
So
there's-
Chase was just coming off of his TV
So he
show.
must have shot all the stuff with the girl at once.
That was all shot chronologically at this old hospital that was still in use. They apparently just like took part of this hospital over
Oh, okay.
in South Africa.
Mhm.
That she flew her in from Croatia.
Not the
and-
one at Rourke's Drift.
No, that's a little further
Sorry.
north.
sounds
I'm
Sounds like you guys are kinda
choose
mixed
Zulu
on this
and
one.
Zulu Dog.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm not, but they are.
I'm not.
I am.
I feel the same way about it watching it now for the second time that I did years ago when I saw it at first. It looks amazing and it hooks me at the beginning with the visuals, and I'm on board for the story and I get what the story's going to be, but I think it's muddled. I don't think it's a good rendition of that story because there's just elements to it that don't quite connect. Like he's in the bed because he did a stunt and he injured himself, but then there's this heartbreak story where he was in love with the star of the movie, but then the other co-star of the movies got her, and that never quite,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It just doesn't quite connect.
I agree. I agree
and
with
you
you, John.
and you end up sort of just lost in the details of, oh, look at that, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, again, this is why I wish it had like music or something over it. Like if it was just the visuals, if I could just coast by on the visuals of this and not the wooden acting and everything else,
Mhm.
like it would have been so much nicer because I would have just been appreciating the visuals. Whereas what I was doing in this was trying to appreciate the visuals and not stab myself in the ear because of what I was hearing. Like
Well,
it
what you need, like, it needs a
Not a
better
fan of
script
Beethoven.
for sure.
It needs to be tighter. Yeah.
It needs a better script, but it also needs, yeah. When you go into the fantasy, the story, imagine if that acting would have been just like amazing,
right.
and they never ever wink at the girl and the
Didn't
boy and the
feel
man in
meta.
the
It was
bed.
actually, these guys are fully committed and they're actually
Like that would have played so much better.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like those performances, like the only good performances are the two of them when they're in the bed together and they're talking. That is magical.
The old guy with
magical.
the dentures is really good too.
He's fun too.
He's okay, but I mean, the little girl, it's one of those, you could tell that she's so raw. I mean, she's almost looking in the camera and she's like repeating herself because she can't act, but she doesn't need to. It's so natural and amazing. It's adorable. She's incredible. And Lee is killing it when he's in the bed. Of course, he's acting really shitty when he's out in the fantasy world because he's supposed to be kind of talking to her at the same time. I think if you would have gotten rid of that, had everybody in the story, be just absolutely dedicated and straight up and not wink at the camera at all, it would have worked better. And maybe better music. I mean, the sound effects are good, but I forgive almost everything because I think this is one of the most visually amazing films I've ever seen. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to watch it. There's so many scenes. There's so many shots. But also this is based on like so many, I mean, some of you probably read up on it, but there's like a movie called Yo Ho Ho that was the biggest inspiration in terms of a story. It's about but it's a little boy, not a little girl, but there's a guy who's like laid up in a hospital bed and he tells this little boy story, this adventure story about pirates and all this stuff.
Nice.
It's from the 80s.
The Princess Bride, obviously.
Yeah.
The Princess
I
Bride,
thought of that
obviously.
for sure. Yeah.
And then Baraka, obviously, and a couple others.
Again, I think it's a weird drops of Jodorowsky over here and Terry Gilliam over there and Baraka.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It reminded me a lot of
Jodorowsky, however you say it.
Bandits.
Yeah,
definitely him.
King.
Yeah, he was going for it. You know, the guy was fully committed to an amazing look to this thing.
And that opening, which is so impressive that John, you were talking about, that's even gotten notes of like, I mean, I love how he works in the whole very, very early, Hollywood era as well.
Yeah.
But like that pristine black and white gray.
Yeah.
I mean, the shot behind Scott is like one of my favorites. Actually, it's just a dog
Me too.
barking once.
Me
It's
too.
just amazing.
And it's a great cut because the dog doesn't even get a full bark out.
Yeah.
It's just the
And
mouth
thing
comes
is,
open and they cut.
Also, you don't find out till later on that's his dog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's amazing. It's amazing. But
Jack
that
Russell's
made me feel like I was watching, like, part of that is like a Terrence Malick film,
Yeah, absolutely. Or even a Lynchian kind of feel to it. Yeah.
It's just got so many.
We discussed this earlier before we got here. Is that beginning is very, very strong. And
it's amazing when you find out what they're doing, because at first you're like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah,
right.
Puzzle piece.
And then you figure out what they're doing and you're like, holy shit, that's amazing. They're fucking pulling a horse out of a goddamn river.
Although, do you think the very ending where they're watching like the film when he's in it and a bunch of other things is a little bit on the hooray for Hollywood thing?
Yeah.
No, you mean the very end?
The very end, the transformative power of movies kind of thing.
I don't know because he's specifically, she's like, he's like, have you ever seen a movie? And she says no, and he's like, don't bother.
Yeah, don't
like,
bother.
Movies aren't particularly good.
But that's supposed to explain his, because he's
bitter.
He's literally butthurt about making movies.
yeah, very much.
However, what I did like was when they finally bring the cut of the film in and show it for everybody at the hospital. And when it gets to his big scene, it was on the cutting room floor. You don't even get to see how he got hurt. In the movie, they left it out.
That's the thing, and he's on the horse.
Like that was it. Now he's on the horse.
That was great.
That's kind of great.
All right. Well,
Jim,
do you have a corner on this?
No.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
I guess
I enjoy this film.
All right.
Yeah.
I wish it was better.
Most of your criticisms, I don't care. I just thought he went for it. It's beautiful.
Yep.
It's a bit of a travelogue, but I just thought even just some of the framing, like how he was constantly putting the horizon like in the bottom quarter.
Not even the bottom quarter. There's that one where it's just that wall of orange.
Yeah.
And literally the bottom of it is like right. I can't even do it because it's like right here.
Yeah. No, this guy doesn't do the thirds. He does fifths He's doing quarters.
Or it's like right, like this is the bottom,
Yeah.
and his shots are so wide that you can see. You know, it's like a
amazingly wide. Some of them, the figures are like ants.
Yes, the figures are this large, and I absolutely fucking love that.
He trusts them. He trusts the big screen portrayal. Like not like he's like that's that David Lean thing, right?
This is like David Lean. This is like Lawrence of Arabia. Eat your fucking heart out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like trying to outdo that.
Well, cut where they go from like a skull or something to that desert land.
Oh, that was rad.
Oh, that was great. It was like a face.
That was that guy like laughing
I mean,
maniacally, and then it's
that took some setup, didn't it?
No
oh yeah.
That's like that.
Well, and I'm sure you read that there are some visual effects, but there's apparently no CG. And
the guy landing on the back of the arrows was a bit.
Well, and I thought there was green screen in there. I could tell.
There's no green screen. There's
but yeah,
no green screen in
that's
this
what they
movie.
said.
And
I was like, this looks like. So when
the only
that
computer is for color timing.
Right.
It's the only thing they did with computers.
But there's impressive. A weird shot where the dreadlock tree man, when he takes out all the soldiers and he's standing there victoriously.
Oh yeah, on the pile.
That looks like a green screen shot. I guess it's not, but it just does.
It's just nice and sharp. That's
But when you think about these locations that he did find, even if it is maybe based on some of that other, travel type movie, these locations are amazing. Like,
well, mind you, you borrow.
It's a great postcard movie.
You borrow
these are great postcards
from this that pure cinema thing. You borrow the visual ideas from pure cinema in this thing. You can put pure cinema ideas into a narrative, and it works just fine.
What was that? What was that MC Escher-esque, stone building that they were running through?
That's a well. That one behind Scott.
It's also in Baraka. So yay!
It's fucking amazing.
The thing I'll say is. This came out in what 2006.
Yeah.
We talked
2008
when we watched
2008 here.
Conan. We talked about how it was like the last gasp of like the kind of car chase movie that they would do with physical effects and real cars smashing into it.
Yeah.
I kind of look at this movie and like nowadays, I mean, particularly we see like what ILM's doing with that virtual cinema crap. They basically put the actors on a blank set, but they surround them with.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the LED.
That would all be done this way.
The LED volume.
The last gasp of like actually like sending a film crew to the middle of the desert and plopping actors in front of it because now it's too expensive and you can just do it. It looked just exactly the same to do with the computer.
Boy, are we going to talk about this in the next one?
Well,
but that's why, John.
Go ahead.
Well, that's why you need a better script. You just need a better script. If you're going to take all this time and all this money and all this effort, and I do like this movie. But it just does need a stronger story.
Well,
it needs a stronger. I mean, maybe it just needs a better. There's ways you could do it differently, and it would be better.
Tighten it up for sure.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he wanted to shoot us all over the world. He did it. He got some great visuals in there. And the thing is, it's cheaper than you think because all you had to do was like 5 or 6 principals, right? And the sets were already been built thousands of years ago. So
there's lots of extras. Lots of extras.
There's no sets in this.
Yeah, there's all real places. And so why not?
I wanted to touch on because Tad already talked about the soldiers, but I think like all of the costuming, all of the wardrobe, every design, everything in here.
I mean, come on.
It's all amazing. It's all amazing.
Yeah,
she opens her thing like this and it goes up like
that's good stuff.
But yes, particularly the soldiers, just that design. Whoever
How did this not even win any awards for any of this?
No one saw it.
Nobody saw it.
Where'd it go?
I did. I saw it in the fucking theater, dude.
It doesn't exist anymore.
I caught it on video, but yes, not available streaming anywhere. No domestic Blu-ray.
I tried to look it up because I saw The Cell. I'm a fan of The Cell. I was waiting for this. I saw this when it came out. I thought it was awesome. I still do.
Well, I feel like The Cell is kind of the same way. That movie
that story
under the radar. Like
and that story is also very fucking weak. And I think Tad's right. It's only good because of the visuals and Vincent D'Onofrio's amazing
but
performance.
It's stronger than this. And I thought that there was an interesting influence from like David Fincher films in The Cell.
Yes, it's stronger than this because it has more of a story, but it's still not executed well.
No, okay,
I just thought it was mean as fuck and it turned me off.
All right, well,
it is mean.
It's mean.
The movie is
we moved off. All right, well, this is just 2 thumbs and move on.
I'm still solidly in this movie's camp. Thank you, guys.
I was visually liked it, but I thought it took me 2 nights to get through it. I didn't think the story was very compelling. I'm a John 100% on his.
But I think just because of the movie that it is, like everything we're talking about, the visuals, everything, it's all practical. It's all real locations. It's like one of those movies that you should see.